Welcome to episode 102 of the Not Joanna Eggs podcast. That's right, this is episode 102 of us talking nonsense about cartoons at you. This episode, we talk about the 2019 Studio Trigger film Promare. We talk about this with a good friend of ours, John. You may recognize his voice from our BoJack Horseman Christmas special favorite episodes thing like several years back. I had, brought this movie to his attention and he was really interested in it. And so I was like, hey, why don't you come on the podcast for it? So we had him on and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy listening to it. Please, if you enjoy this episode, if you enjoy this podcast, please remember to like, rate, subscribe, all the things. Write a review on us on whatever format you listen to. Thank you so much for listening.
Promare.
Okay. All right.
All right. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Not Joanna Eggs podcast. I'm Robin.
I'm Tracy.
And this week we have a guest who just tried to
which is me, John.
Yeah. Except, John, you gotta wait for us to prompt you. That's how this works. You should know that by now.
That's how
I'm excited.
Well, I'm just so jazzed to be here. All right.
You may remember John was on our episode way back when, our favorite BoJack Horseman episodes, way back when.
It was a good one too. I mean, and that was up to season 3. Honestly, I think we should do another version of it just because we've had another 3 seasons. But I don't know. Maybe that can be the Christmas special this year. Who knows?
It was a lot of fun.
It was
a good time.
Yeah, I had an awesome time with that. We'll just have to, and luckily our audio technical skills have gotten a lot better since then. So I think it might be worth revisiting.
Just a teensy bit better.
Just a scotch.
Just a scotch.
So this week we are talking about the most Studio Trigger film, Promare.
I have made a checklist about that, but we will get into that shortly.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So, Promare, if you're not familiar, is a 2019 animated film by Studio Trigger and X-Flag, directed by Hiroyuki Imaishi, and written by Kazuki Nakashima, both of whom have previously worked on Gurren Lagann and I believe also Kill La Kill. I know that Imaishi worked on Kill La Kill, and he also, as I found out today, was a key animator for Neon Genesis Evangelion and everyone's least favorite, Redline.
I don't know if it's everyone's
I don't
least
know
favorite
that. You guys were talking about Redline earlier. I don't know that anime.
I know.
It's
Maybe we'll get...
I basically feel like I've divorced Redline just because of all the animosity and hatred I have for it. But we never had much of a relationship to begin with, so I guess it doesn't matter. But I don't know.
I think I want to get John. I think I want to get high with John and try and
It's
watch
on, it is
Redline.
on Prime Video, to my knowledge. So if you are
think
down
so
to
too,
clown
yeah.
with that, go for it. To
would
me
be
personally,
potentially fun.
I watched the first 20 minutes, and then I fast forward through about an hour. And then I watched the last race, and that's it. That's the only part that I like.
Yeah, that's it, because those are the only
that's
good
the
parts.
only
Wait, is it
part
a
that
movie
matters.
or is it a series?
It's a movie, yeah.
Basically, we have kind of a storied history of it. Like I had. Let's
But
talk
fuck
about
that movie. We're not
yeah,
talking about Redline.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah, we're talking
talking
about Promare.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Get out of here, Redline.
So Promare, you've probably heard about because it came out last year. It was released. It got a 2-day release in September in America, and then it was so popular that it got a second 3-day release in December in the U.S. So,
And then they were supposed to do another airing on, I believe it was April 7th and 8th of this year, something like that. But, of course, because of the current pandemic that we find ourselves in, that did not happen.
Yeah, the Rona.
Yeah, the Rona, my Rona. But, yeah, so they ended up, I believe, moving the digital release for this film up due to that. Just because demand has been so high for it. And, honestly, after seeing it, I totally get why.
Yeah, I get it. So, Promare is, like, very loosely, let's talk about the plot. So, what we establish in Promare at the beginning is that there are people who, 30 years prior to the current moment of the movie, suddenly people have the ability to control and just spontaneously combust fire.
Yeah. It seems to be brought on by
they
moments
come-
of rage or very extreme emotion, but it usually seems to be like sadness or rage, something like that.
Yeah, it's usually like very powerful negative emotions, it seems like, is what like ignites it. And so these people are called the Burnish. They kind of are like treated as second class citizens to some extent. And before the moment of the movie, there is a mass event called like the Great Burning or something.
It was the Great World Blaze, which was when all these people that noticed that they had self-combustion abilities basically started like letting loose, and cities started getting decimated, and like all of it. So I guess it was like kind of like a sort of apocalyptic sort of thing. So cities had to be completely restructured to accommodate and handle the Burnish.
Yeah, it's sort of like a loosely apocalyptic, not quite entirely, I feel like.
I mean, there are some
certainly...
inklings of it, because like some of the world that we see is relatively idyllic, but the British are absolutely treated as like second class citizens, if that. Honestly, there are some scenes that were like something out of like ICE or like borderline Nazi Germany, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty intense when we learn what's actually happening sort of with the Burnish. So we follow the story of Gallo Thymos, I'm not sure how you would say it in English.
I think that's it.
Who is a lovable, optimistic, and painfully unintelligent firefighter.
Which is honestly kind of a Studio Trigger thing. They usually have a very well-meaning but dopey protagonist.
Who is
He is.
Who is that?
The
Gallo?
main character, Gallo.
Okay. What did somebody call him? What was the name that you used before that, Robin?
Gallo
No,
Thymos.
I think it's Thymos or Thymus. Like that's his whole name, but everyone calls him Gallo, basically.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's Gallo.
I was like, I don't know who that character is. Did we watch the same movie?
Yeah.
The guy with the blue hair.
He's the guy. He's the tall guy with the blue
that
hair.
one. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Definitely like a staple for Studio
Dude,
Trigger.
you gotta have blue hair, man.
Oh yeah. So
there's
I
always-
watched this with Charles, my boyfriend, and Charles was like, that hair is ridiculous, and I was like,
yeah.
I mean, like, you
I
gotta
love
have
it
ridiculous
so
anime
much.
hair. I mean,
Yeah, that's how it is, especially in this
Yeah.
kind of like this sort of future, is that everyone has a very distinct aesthetic and it is working for them, as opposed to them working for
absolutely.
it. So like if we had more firefighters that looked like him, people would probably respect firefighters more.
well, he's also shirtless through I would
Most
say
of the time.
90% of when he's fighting.
I mean,
Which you think would be a very
90,
hazardous
maybe
thing.
even 100% of that fucking movie, he doesn't have a
One
shirt
might
on.
consider that to be quite hazardous for a firefighter, but not Gallo. Oh no!
Who needs a shirt?
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, who amongst us hasn't dreamed of being a shirtless
I'm allergic to
firefighting
shirts.
Yeah,
himbo?
no shirt, yes service. That's what Gallo's mantra is.
Our yearly calendar is just pictures of Gallo. No one else is featured.
Yeah.
I have
him
my
at- yeah.
edition.
Buy that calendar.
And
That's
the
not
rest.
a joke.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a daily calendar for Gallo.
I
It's
mean,
just
yeah,
him posing and flexing. It's a flip book.
Yeah.
it's
What
also
day is
got
it? Doesn't
he's
matter.
named
Shirtless.
every day.
30 degrees outside doesn't matter. Shirtless.
Man, it certainly
Shirtless.
got a lot hotter in this room. Thank you, January 9th.
So Gallo runs into a terrorist group called the Mad Burnish, ends up capturing all three of them, one of whom is the leader, Leo Fotia,
Oh, yeah.
who is one of the
Who is
Burnish.
a
and,
beautiful man.
He is. I actually did not know
Cute, yeah.
Yeah.
until I looked up more about this movie that he was actually a guy.
Yeah, I also
Yeah, I-
thought that Leo was a girl because he was
Yeah, no,
too
I thought
pretty.
Leo was also because they draw Leo being very pretty. That's a great way to
Yeah.
put it. Yeah.
But at least
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
presents quite femme. I guess we could probably collectively say.
Yeah, I think that's
but
probably
but that's
accurate.
also kind
He's
of
also very
he's very lithe. It's just it's also kind of an anime
Yeah.
soap sort of thing too.
Yeah, you're kind of seeing like two like
Streams.
pretty distinct sort of anime stereotypes here, or archetypes, I guess probably the word to
And
use.
his attire is very fancy.
Oh yeah, it's quite extra, as you
and
might
his
say.
hair
some
is
frills.
beautiful. It's got some frills. It's got a good
Yeah.
look.
I do like the one thing is if you look at his earrings, they essentially look like the weird little tags that they sometimes use to tie up bread.
Oh, the
Like
twist tie thingies? Oh, no, you mean like the plastic ones that clip around when you wrap the bread together?
Yes,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
that. They look like
I
that.
didn't notice that. I was too busy daydreaming putting him into David Bowie's getup from Labyrinth, but I'm sure that that part was cool too.
Yeah,
He's
that's fair.
Got that
I'm not.
look, all right.
Can you wait? Can you?
I'm not.
Can you draw that, Tracy? I think
No,
that would be so.
but I would
No,
love that.
No,
no, stupid. No, but I'm sure that I'm certain that there's got to be fan art of that because they. Okay, I kind of want to get into this. Like, I know that this might be a little bit too early, but this is another studio trigger trope or a thing that they tend to do, which is the same-sex rivalry and also same-sex sexual tension. Because my God, is it palpable in this movie? Like I was shipping them from the get-go, and I am not typically one to do that, but I'm just like, I kind of want them to kiss. Yeah.
Yep. Well, and that's actually before we go on, that's sort of how I had found out about this movie, is that's like all I heard was these two sort of kissing. Like, that's the movie.
It's like ideal, like
and then,
just yaoi fodder, basically.
Yeah, well, and then I heard, like, oh, there's firefighting involved, and I'm like, okay, and then, like, I heard that, I'm like, literally hot, and then I heard that, like, Leo is, like, a terrorist, and, like, okay, these are all the things I know. What no one told me is that part of the firefighting is also riding in a mech.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Which I adore.
Standard, yeah. Which is also another thing that they do. The aerial and building inclusive action scenes in this are positively breathtaking.
Oh my God, they're
and
wild.
Frankly, my computer could not handle the processing because I was attempting to watch this on the big screen because I had obtained a copy of it I was watching on my computer, and the problem is that the processor could not keep up with how fast the shots were. So, like, say, like the movement itself was so quick that my computer could not properly play it on a bigger screen, which was a bit jarring. So, but hey. It's all the more reason to see it on a big screen or to buy the movie. So.
Oh yeah, if this movie, and I think I said this when we attempted beforehand to record this podcast.
This is take two.
Yeah, prior
y'all.
to some technical difficulties, which happens. So.
I was saying that I would absolutely see this movie again in the theaters, and Tracy, I think that you and I had talked about this a little bit after we were kind of chatting about it after the first time that we tried recording this podcast, but I would actually almost watch. The second time I watch this movie, I think I would prefer it to be dubbed because the subbed is there's so much going on screen that it's really hard, at least for me. And I haven't had this in a while, but it's like there's so much happening on screen that, like, in the seconds, in the nanoseconds that you have to read what's going on and then go back, you've missed something.
No, yeah, and that's exactly the exact same feeling too, because like for me personally, I had to just keep pausing and rewinding certain scenes because I wanted to visually see what was going on, and typically I would usually endorse subs over dubs in general, just because I think to both respect the source material and the original intent of the authors and the people that were making it, you kind of want to see in the sub version. I mean, like Parasite's a great example. Like, they might have a dub for it. I don't care. It's perfectly reasonable.
I hope that.
I think that director is very.
I hope that he willfully does not put out a dub because people.
I think he hasn't.
God,
like,
I hope
this
that
is
he
the
doesn't
same
do
man
that would be
who called.
amazing.
He's the same man who called the Oscars, like, it's something like a small local award show or something.
He's not wrong.
He's amazing.
I like him even more for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, right.
But no, John, I agree with you. Like, this is one of those rare instances where I think that it would be beneficial to watch the dub. And I know that when this was originally released by G Kids, who is a distributor for this in North America, they had it released. I think that they alternated the dates for when they were doing subs versus dubs. So in this case,
that's probably
that's usually pretty standard, especially for anime films whenever they're releasing them here, just because demand is going to be there for both of them.
And I think it's different too, because there are movies that I think are not of as high a quality, so I don't kind of want to rope Promare into, let's say, like a Transformers movie, which I think also suffers from Transformers movies absolutely worse than this.
Yeah.
Where there's just so much going on. It's shaky cam, and you can't, like, as a viewer, you're like, what the hell is going on in this scene?
No, yeah. It's like the movie itself, by and large, it's so dynamic, and like it really really is like you have to be paying attention to everything. You cannot be doing anything else while you're watching this, because I'm guilty of doing this for a lot of movies, like having them on as background noises. Absolutely not this movie. You will miss so much. You won't know what the fuck is going on. So you need to give it your total attention.
But that's different. I mean, Promare is absolutely worth it, and it shows off like how talented the animation is.
Oh
how that was drawn and stuff. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. So I'm not knocking the art style at all, but it's just so unrelentingly fast paced that
it absolutely is.
They're like,
well, that's one.
The assumption is that you were going to be engaged during the entire thing.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, that's one thing I thought about like watching this movie is like, so much shit happens in the first
20 minutes. It's like 20 minutes, half an hour. It's like if you look away, you won't know what's going on, basically. It's just
Yeah, well, and it's amazing how it just like keeps going, and like you don't get a moment to breathe until like
they're hitting the ground running up
45 minutes into the movie or something.
They hit the ground running up until they go to the pizza place. Like that's it. Like nothing relents before.
Yeah, that's when you get like a moment to breathe. But that's like a solid 20 minutes, half an hour of movie before that happens.
And then we should probably note that this podcast is going to have a lot of spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I mean, in case that wasn't obvious, but I hope by the time that this episode is out, it should be available for purchase, streaming, all that. So
we have up to this point avoided spoilers. I mean, you can predict that the leader of Mad Burnish is Leo if you have heard anything about this movie, or if you even
look at the poster,
look at the
frankly.
way
you can figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, like you see the way that the leader of the Mad Burnish poses, and you're like, oh, it's clearly that guy.
If you're the type of person who's mad, the fact that like you might have gotten the characters spoiled, stop listening to this podcast now.
You are in the wrong
and like
place.
Honestly, that's going to be within the trailer either way, because I've watched the trailers that they released here and that they had in Japan. It's like they tell you basically, but it's like, but the resolution for the rest of it is the stuff that obviously we're going to be to get into.
Oh, it's wild. So if you haven't watched it yet and you don't want those things spoiled for you, now would be the time to pause the podcast, because this is the point at which we're going to kind of jump into all that kind of stuff.
Pause the podcast, watch it, and then come back to us, please.
Yeah. So what we find out after they capture the Mad Burnish is the government, represented by the Freeze Force.
Yeah. Who is clearly an ICE parallel, pretty much. Or honestly, they're also the SS, really.
And we talked about...
Yeah, they're called the Freeze Force, so...
Yeah, I didn't... See, and I thought that was a little confusing, too, because I didn't find it entirely clear on for the first or second time that Freeze Force was established, or, introduced to us, that they were for the government. They kind of seemed like a weird, autonomous entity for a lot
some kind of almost like a vigilante group, I would say.
Because the main dude, is so over the top. He's so
he really likes his job, basically.
God, he loves whatever his job is. I don't know, torturing people.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we established that. So Gallo and Leo. So Gallo's the firefighter, and they are often fighting Leo and the Mad Burnish, who is perpetuated as a terrorist organization. Yeah, I don't know if we established that or not, so I'm just reiterating.
The Burnish they are not considered protected class citizens. Like most of them, like you can see them working in relative. I don't want to say menial jobs, especially during this kind of age, but like one of them works in a pizza parlor or. But the problem is that if you're a business owner that has Burnish working for you that are like not claimed, you can either be arrested or they will be taken away or something. So it's very hazardous to be a Burnish in this society.
Yeah, well, and this is something we see. So when they get to we were talking about the pizza place. They get to this pizza place, and it turns out that the pizza maker is a Burnish, and so the Freeze Force just out of nowhere comes and
they have a raid
him and
while
they're
working, and Gallo attempts to defuse the situation, but like it really doesn't matter. Like they still take the pizza maker by force for like increasingly.
Who's also a kid, by the way. He's not.
No, he's obviously like he's a very young adult, if anything.
Oh yeah, he's like maybe 20.
Yeah. It's a good setup to show you how evil and like an authoritarian the Freeze Force is as compared to like the firefighters. I don't remember what the team that Gallo is on, but like they're
I think they're just called the Burning Team.
Something like that, yeah.
Well,
but yeah, they're basically firefighters, and I do want to talk about that specific aspect of this film and what it's referencing historically there, but we'll get to that later. So then we see Leo in a prison. He breaks out. Gallo finds them after they've broken out, Leo and the Burnish. And then he finds out from them that the governor, Cray, who is his hero, is performing human experiments on the Burnish. So he confronts him, shockingly gets jailed by the guy who is performing human experiments.
He's essentially Dr. Mengele with more political power, basically.
Yeah, he's
he's the worst. He sucks.
And also Gallo's mentor, right?
Yeah,
so
and Gallo is totally
as a mentor,
disillusioned
which
because
is,
he doesn't want to believe that his mentor is such a dick that's basically abusing people for his own monetary gain, basically.
Yeah, and so what we find out is that Cray has this plan to transport 100,000 people from, or no, I'm sorry, 10,000.
Yeah.
I multiplied it because 10,000 is such a preposterously low number of people. That he's going to use the Burnish to create a portal to another planet that they can then colonize and live on, because the Burnish, and he is right about this, but the Burnish are effectively agitating the Earth's core and going to cause it to erupt. Now, he doesn't understand why that's actually happening or how that works. Deliberately, he's ignorant of it on purpose.
But he has certainly used that to his advantage in terms of engineering, and probably one of the most grotesquely horrifying scenes in the movie, at least
it's
to
so
me.
Fucked up.
No, yeah, so basically Gallo is taken down into the core of, I guess it's like whatever government office it is, but he ends up finding that there's a bunch of Burnish people that are basically put like almost on... They're not like basically like little platforms that they've been strapped to, and then
it's kind of like a torture rack.
It's like a torture rack combined with a turbine, which is basically used to turn them into human batteries, which is horrifying because they're all screaming at the same time in these little capsules. It's so scary.
I mean, like, I understand evil guys being evil, but I like that whole scene. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like. Besides like moving the plot along, I was like, why as a person would you be showing this kid who you clearly don't like, and also, who is pushing back at you? Why would you bring him and be like, yeah, this is where we torture the people you're trying to save?
I mean, honestly, there are some people that are that brazen that they probably that they would do it.
Yeah, there's a level of just like
it's a very much like a weird flex, but okay kind of thing. Because it's a very weird flex to show your human torture chambers that are used for energy generation.
Well, it's very
I
much.
never liked you. Also, I'm killing all these people.
Yeah. By the way, they will eventually turn into ashes. Bye.
It's like the same kind of like ego as like the old Bond villain, right? I'm gonna reveal my whole plan to you as I try to kill you because you're not gonna escape.
Yeah.
Oh no, you escaped!
Yeah. I mean, it's
like it's not
that terrible. And frankly, if he is as well connected of a politician as we see, he probably could cover it up no problem. Honestly.
Yeah, he could afford to be a little careless.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Well, because Gallo's like, he's a random orphan.
Yeah, pretty much. And like he idolizes Cray for all the wrong reasons. We find that out later, but
because he doesn't understand the reality of the situation. So Leo attempts to basically they capture all the Burnish. Leo comes to try and destroy the city and kill Clay or Cray Forsyth
in an honestly amazing action scene. Like the fact
so
that Leo can harness all of his rage and anger and like basically him just being upset into turning into this giant sexy pink dragon is fantastic. Like it was so cool. Like
can we also talk about this scene is so big and intense and it's like the halfway point of the movie.
I know. I was like, what the fuck are they gonna do from here? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I was blown away because like he gets up to the point of confronting Cray, and then Gallo gets launched out of a cannon and punches him out of it.
He's like, Leo, no, it's not worth it.
And then, that is just so wild.
It is like, it's kind of fun to think about, because I remember pausing the movie at one point and like going to the bathroom, and I was like, we're only 45 minutes into this movie?
I know.
Like,
I had the same thing too.
And that's not, I mean, it's certainly not a bad thing. There's just so much going on.
Again,
it's a dense movie. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And it's pretty
just
long.
so tightly packed.
It's roughly 2 hours, which is honestly fair.
Standard,
It's standard for like, okay, I'll say this. That's standard for like a typical like regular movie nowadays, like a standard live action. That's fairly long for animation because a lot of animated films tend to fall between like maybe 80 to like maybe 2 hours. It depends because like Spirited Away is 2 hours, but they know that they have enough story to really pad it out because you're never bored during it, which I think is a great feat of this movie.
Well, So after this scene is when we get sort of like the lore dump of the movie, which is not, again, like it's not boring. It's actually really fucking cool how they do it. But they find this like basically abandoned facility, which is under a frozen lake. And we find out that the Burnish powers come from extra-dimensional beings who entered this universe through the Earth's core, but they're made of fire. And basically the reason that the core of the Earth is so agitated is because whenever the Burnish get hurt, it hurts those extra-dimensional spirits and agitates the lava.
So there's a direct parallel universe that like houses where I guess where the Burnish origin
Promare.
There's a direct parallel universe that operates where the Burnish operate from, which is called Promare, basically.
Well, the Promare are the spirits themselves,
right? Exactly. So hence the title of the film. So
yes. So basically what a computerized regeneration of a dead scientist tells them
it was
is
mostly beard, let's be honest.
I mean his regeneration is absolutely all
the
beard.
funniest thing about this
I
the
love
funniest
him.
thing about this movie too is that explaining it out of context sounds crazy.
No,
but then
it does.
when you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, it makes. I actually thought the explanation of the Promare was pretty tight. Like I thought it was.
I agree.
I'm like, oh, yeah.
I actually
like our worlds got linked with another world where these fire beings exist, and now they're like expressing themselves through our frustration,
honestly,
or whatever.
The least believable scene in that for me was just the fact that he has the exact perfect range of CC camera footage of him being shot by Cray. It's just basically the
that's
trip.
fair.
I was like, okay, wow, he's really good at cropping that kind of footage and even having it, I guess.
I'll take back
science. You're always
I
reporting.
suppose he's had some time to think about it and wanted to crop the right section in case someone stumbled into his lake, which was exactly what it was. Because like Gallo himself, like you see a couple shots of him just being like, "Wait, what's going on?" But it's like, no, we just pay attention, stupid. You'll understand it. So.
I love it. I love him
He's
so
such a
much.
Goof. And that's like I like that this is a Studio Trigger kind of trope too, because they have well-meaning but dopey protagonists and then a bunch of ragtag ensemble people to try to keep them in line. Because that's basically what the other firefighters are, who we barely get to spend any time with, aside from one.
Absolutely.
I think it was Ina was the one girl that we got to hang out with, but the rest of them they're there, but they don't do anything really.
Yeah, that's one thing I think is kind of like a shame about this movie is that I would like to spend just a little bit more time with some of them.
Me too.
Specifically, Lucia, their scientist.
Yeah, like she's so busy like hacking, like she does like the really fast hacking like animation movie.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, she's obviously like a mech genius and like a genius in engineering. I wanted to spend more time with her, and I definitely wanted to spend a little bit more time with the fire chief. He was great.
I
was like, first of all, mustache is fantastic, but also just obviously he's a badass, and I was like, come on, movie, like we could spend a little bit more time, like he could be a father figure to Gallo. We could.
I think that would have
tropes.
been.
Yeah, but it was obvious that they didn't want to have too much character development stuff spent outside of the main relationship between Leo and Gallo, basically, which is fine. I mean, I get it. It's a movie. If this was a series, I'm sure they would expand on it. So.
Yeah, I think what we would have seen there is the arc of. I think if it were a series, like Tracy's saying, we would have seen an arc in which like Gallo's faith and relationship with Cray crumbles, and then his relationship with Ignis sort of grows and buds.
And Leo learns to start trusting people that aren't the Burnish more. But I mean, which is not to say
we don't have time for
no,
that in 2 hours.
Of course not. But we do manage.
Everything is on fire. We need to take care of that.
But we do have enough time for excessive porny shots of female bodies, which is what they do with Ina quite a bit. Which fine, whatever. It's a Studio Trigger thing too, which is like if you've seen Kill la Kill. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, that's the gimmick.
It's part of their
that's
shtick.
what it is. Yeah.
It feels much more toned down in this one.
I mean,
overall,
they still
I think
play up the curvature and everything, but there's just no time because this is going to be a much more dude-centric kind of film because two dudes
We've
need
got
to
Leo
make out.
in a giant fire dragon. We don't have time for titties right now.
There's no time for titties.
No
There's
time
only
for
time.
titties.
I love that children's show. No time.
It's time for
for
everyone's favorite
titties.
titty show. No time for titties.
So, is there any
teach-
titties on this show? No, there's no time.
No, we don't have time.
Well, we're here to teach children about time, but there's no time for titties.
Grow up with a generation of children who have no time for
Yep.
titties.
The only thing you should be growing up for is that clock because you need to read time because you are 6. And yes, I know it's confusing that the clock is shaped like titties. That's just how it is.
Eyes up here. Eyes up here.
That's just a coincidence.
Eyes up here. On this
don't
clock.
think about it.
Hey, their
All right.
eyes are up there with a big hand and a little hand. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So after this dead scientist projection gives them a giant robot called Deus Ex Machina, which
is
uses...
such a lampshade. I love it. Like, and this is
I know,
and this is absolutely a Studio Trigger thing. They did it in Little Witch Academia. They did it in Kill la Kill. They've done it in most major things that they've produced, which is like fine. You know, like I get it. It's because they lampshade is what makes it funny. You know, it's fine. Yeah,
they're very good.
What do you
because
wait?
it's
Hold on,
still
Tracy.
fine.
What do you mean by lampshade?
Oh, okay. So, lampshading is a trope term, meaning that like they know that the joke is so obvious that they make the joke themselves. So, say like in Airplane, where they're just like, oh, we need to have Ted Stryker land this plane, but he's so nervous about landing the plane, so he's just constantly sweating and stuff all the time, and he's like, I can't fly, not since the war, but they make him do it anyway. Like they're basically they make the joke that they know is the joke that's going to be featured, but they do it in a smart way and not like a shitty way. So, yeah.
Yeah, or like another doing literally the same gag as here when at the end of Dodgeball he gets the giant pot of money. It says on the fake treasure box, it says Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where it's like they directly reference the joke that they're trying to make. So
Well, it's like, oh, we need
exactly.
this thing to solve your problems. Here you go. I'm like, oh, thank God we got this thing to
Well,
solve your
right.
problems.
It turns that function, which is an archaic thing, into
like
a joke.
say at the end of the SpongeBob movie, how they have David Hasselhoff being the vehicle
I've
that
never
gets
seen
them
that
back
movie,
to Bikini Bottom. It happens.
Thank you.
Yeah, it happens.
Me too, John. Digital high five.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not that bad.
I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I just haven't
It's
seen
fine.
it.
I saw it on
I don't hate
HBO.
SpongeBob, by the way. I think he's actually kind of funny, but no, I've never seen the
No,
SpongeBob movie.
it's just more that like they're just like, oh, okay, we're gonna treat David Hasselhoff like he's a jet ski basically, and he just gets them back there even when they're having this gigantic fight scene on him. Like that's the joke, you know? It's fine.
Gotcha.
It's,
that's
that's
fine.
pretty good.
Yeah.
So what we find, the Deus Ex Machina, the mech, first of all, looks terrible.
No, I love that they make fun of that. They're just like, this is too soft because it kind of looks like Baymax from Big Hero 6, which is like, it's like he's not threatening.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. I was like,
Gallo's like, this thing is too soft and not threatening. We need to animate this up. I'm like, fuck yeah, sign me up. Love it.
Well, so this thing is powered by Leo as a burnish. Literally becomes the battery for it, but it doesn't hurt him at all. It's like it's a
totally enclosed system, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an improved version of the battery that Cray had devised.
Yeah, it's less torture-y, I guess, which is an important distinction.
Yeah, it doesn't torture. It's just fueled by Leo himself, as opposed to like taking his energy.
He uses all of his sexual prowess and all of his he
uses all his sexual tiny
all of
body
his
energy.
come hither looks, and basically him saying like, "Oh, Gallo, you're such a baka."
Sexy
but whatever.
twink energy.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm sorry. He reads like such a femme twink, and I am here for it. Okay,
I'm good with it. So that is one thing. Okay, wait. I do need to pause on this. It is so annoying to me that the poster of Promare has.
I'm gonna Google it.
Both of them. I will send you the link I'm looking at.
Google it. Move over, Lady Gaga. You're my next Google.
There's a new
the
twink
poster
in
shows
town.
Gallo and Leo eye to eye, but they're both standing up.
Oh yeah.
And that's so.
I think that's the one that they're going to use on the DVD. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is when they have that moment in the movie, except because Gallo is a solid 2 feet taller than Leo, he is bending down to look him in the eye.
Yeah, I was like, is he standing on a box? Like, what is this?
Yeah, right? There's something about that pose, like Gallo leaning down to be on the same level as Leo. There's something about that. No,
it's like
more impactful.
I just want them to kiss. Like, that's it. You know, like I mean, it's just like here's the thing.
Just kiss.
Everyone does.
No,
just
I know.
Kiss.
And here's the thing: is that I'm not the kind of person that typically does any of that kind of shipping stuff. It's not something I'm here for. But like 5 minutes in, I'm like, they should probably make out. Yeah, no, like the now kiss.
They
thing.
should take a makeout break. Hey, stop fighting this fire to make out.
Hey, stop fighting.
Guys,
make out with
each
each other.
Sexual. Come on, just do it. You know we want it.
So they bring the Deus Ex Machina to Cray. There's a massive fight with Cray.
Oh my fucking god, that's so cool. Because Cray has his own mech too, and he's just like, man, your ship is super lame. I want to make mine look way cooler, and then they're just like, nah, forget that. Mine looks like a little like I forget exactly what the term was. I think it was a Matoi version of the mech that they had.
So the Matoi is a specific. The Matoi, this plays into like the historical thing, but a Matoi is, in the sort of reality of the movie, is both like a siren and also like a weapon that Gallo uses for firefighting. Yeah. That is a specific reference to the fact that in Edo, now called Tokyo, for about 200 plus years, there were so many that city was prone to fire.
Oh yeah, I do remember that being a thing.
Prone to
like
fire.
Chicago levels of prone to fire. It's like, guys, it's so dry.
Yeah,
Stop leaving candles overnight.
Like it just kept happening. So we'll get into it now. So basically, that is one of the things that they're referencing with the burning team is the formation of firefighting as a government institution, basically. Yeah. Because prior to this problem, there wasn't really an institution for firefighting, and so it got invented as a result of this. The Matoi then was basically a giant flag. Someone would run basically to the top of the building and put the flag up so that everyone would know the building was on fire, if it wasn't already obvious.
And the flag did not catch on fire at that point, maybe?
It probably died in the fire.
It was a sacrificial flag.
Yeah, it's a
sacrificial
flag.
It will be mailed back to its family so that they can have a proper burial.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the Matoi that he uses as a weapon is the reference to that.
Oh, okay.
And there's also, like, to take that even further, the, like, early version of the firefighters even had, like, several ranks, which you can see sort of reflected loosely in the different firefighter characters.
Like the hierarchy, because they've got like the heavy, they've got the tech person, they've got the one that's sent on site, they've got Gallo, who's in Overwatch terms, there's the heavy, there's the medic.
Well, it's funny. No, it's funny. It's Tracy. It's funny you said Overwatch, because I was like, does anybody else get some like Team Fortress 2 vibes?
Oh fuck yeah! Oh fuck yeah! Absolutely, yeah. Because Gallo is obviously the scout, because he's both kind of an idiot but endearing in a way. But no, yeah, I was the whole thing. I was like, okay, so Ina is obviously Mercy, and I forget who the heavy guy was, but I'm like, okay, so he's Winston. But no, anyway.
Varys.
Yeah, Varys. That was it. But no, yeah, it's like in it's just like in general the scale of everything, and this is another trope of Studio Trigger in general. It's that you really like the hits that they have in this whenever there's combat or a fight scene, you feel it, and that is one of the best aspects of Studio Trigger's films ever.
Yeah, I don't scale in anime is always a thing for me that I like just conceptually and visually, like I am always It breaks the fourth wall, but not in a good way for me. I think the fight, the mecha fight on the spaceship that was gonna be like sucked out of our universe and into a different universe or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was a good example, and I think the opening scene too in this movie is a good example of this. But like like in anime, and Promare is absolutely not the only anime that does this. There's a gazillion others that do this.
Oh yeah.
But it's like it'll set up a confined space, and then visually it'll just fuck with that space.
Yeah,
And
but
so
I like that because it's a joke, because they show like these are these implausibly large spaces where it's like the infrastructure for the city alone has got to be astronomical because there's fires and things breaking constantly. Where it's like, why does anyone live here? Because there's so much destruction all the time. But there's the firefighters still seem as complete heroes. But like I like that because it's just, I think it's adds more not necessarily credibility to the universe, but it feels more like a lived-in kind of society because they just accept this as like an inevitability thing. Like Evangelion is the exact same way. So
I get it. And we were kind of when we did the first thing, we were goofing on this too, and I said it in a different way. But I mean, like in like Naruto, for example, you know, you need that person on the sidelines being like, oh my god, he's so fast! Like, oh my god, he's so powerful, because he can only go Super Saiyan so many times. I know I'm mixing metaphors here, but he can only get more powerful so many times with you being like, well, I don't understand the scale of how powerful he is right now because
the scale becomes a point where it's not even really registrable.
Yeah, like there are so many instances in this movie where you're just like, that is so unnecessarily OP, but you just kind of run with it because it's so fun that you just kind of like get over it, basically.
I'm gonna recycle this comment that I used from the first time we recorded, but I'm like, I just needed somebody on the sidelines to be like, wow,
commenting on the ridiculously of what it is.
Yeah, because then it like, wow, he went through 6 floors, you know, like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, there would be certain shows like Gravity Falls or Clone High that would absolutely do that, but within this universe, you just kind of accept it as inevitable because no one, like, I guess people are just okay with it, basically.
Yeah, well, I think it's a lot of that is about, like, style as well, just the fact that, like, I don't think Studio Trigger, like, it will set up that space only to break it for the fact that it is more visually interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Because I forget what it was, but I think it was Gynax had done that with Panty and Stocking, like where there's a certain fight scene that takes place in a high school, and the hallways and corridors are so unnecessarily long, and they can just keep shooting at each other through stalls. It's like, like they're just doing it to have fun with the space.
I forgot, by the way.
Go ahead, Robin.
Oh, the director of this movie also directed Panty, Stocking.
That makes so much sense because the action scenes are freaking insane. John, it's for free on YouTube. Funimation put it up, so it's fun. We'll tell you about that later.
I'm gonna watch that with my eyeballs.
I think you dig it, but I'll tell you about it later.
Those balls of eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so can we get into like the ultimate villain thing? Like we've already started talking about Cray, but just to the extent of because there's actually kind of a twist which I didn't totally see coming, but I kind of did eventually. I'm just like, no, I could see this is like that was the issue behind it.
Yeah, I feel like So what we find, so here's what happens is the mech fight sort of ends. They both sort of get knocked around a bunch, and Cray and Gallo and Leo fight on foot, and we find out then, as Leo is trying to light up Cray, that Cray is also a burnish, and he's just been hiding it for however long, and the reason that he, quote-unquote, saved Gallo as a kid was because he set his fire off at the house, which, like, burned off his arm, and, like, the kid came running, and he accidentally saved him. My favorite part, then, because it just, again, is a testament to why I love Gallo, is that he's like, I put you on the burning rescue team because it has such a high rate of death, and you just keep coming back. You never die. What's wrong with you?
It reminded me of it reminded me of the point of like a Hot Fuzz where the Simon Pegg's character, he's doing so well at the police academy that they're just like, you're making us look bad. We're gonna send you out to the country. Bye.
Yeah, we're gonna shove you into a corner.
But yeah, I like that because like Gallo is just so unstoppable because like he's both positive, but he's such an idiot that he doesn't die. Like I love that kind of joke, you know.
Oh no, I love it. And
he had the same twist as like Judge Doom in Who Framed Roger Rabbit to me. You know, he's just like oh my god, he was a tune the whole time. It's like, yeah, I guess so. You know, it would probably take a burnish to understand the power that they're capable of. So.
It fits at a certain point, right? Like, it's not I wouldn't say it's like totally predictable, but it definitely like
it makes sense.
By
It's
the time
satisfying.
you get there,
Well, yeah, and there's something there.
Yeah.
He alluded to it before because when Leo was in the dragon form earlier,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
what I'm thinking of.
Cray was on the top of his citadel or whatever it is, and before Gallows stopped Leo from attacking Cray, you saw them allude to it by Cray had some sort of power, whether it was a burnish power or some sort of like technology he produced. So they
like something unnaturally powerful, like almost kind of. Like, it vaguely reminded me of All Might from Boku no Hero Academia, but like like in terms of he was not a kind-spirited person. It's like he totally just abused whatever he had for his own benefit.
And he's prepared.
absolutely.
He's prepared for a fight. Like he's
I mean, like
he was getting ready to fight.
He's cunning and he's built enough to actually handle himself in there. Like he's not just like an overstuffed politician.
Can we also talk about how his mech he just uses all of this like otherworldly like prep tech.
Oh yeah. He has
like this is. I actually really like that scene where it's like, here's have fun with this cannon that I developed, and it was meant for terraforming, mountains or whatever. So
yeah, like he's trying to redirect it as though like, hey, I'm not killing you. I look at all this great technology. Like, Robin, I don't know if you mentioned this before, but you said like he's basically like an evil Elon Musk, but he just happened.
Yes,
but
that is what I said during our first
he's just
recording.
More built, basically, where he's like, yeah, like he's smart, he's an engineer, but he's also a bastard. Which I'm just like, honestly, fine, all right. And he also dated Grimes, probably.
I mean, he probably did. I mean, he does have like.
Was that an Elon Musk burn? I don't.
No.
Yes,
Elon Musk dated Grimes for a while. So
who's Grimes?
Who is a musician?
Grimes was she's not dead. Grimes is a musician. But she's known for doing like I guess vaguely like electronic alternative sort of music.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
She was. Yeah, I mean,
She's a SoundCloud rapper. Grimes, I don't have anything against you. I actually really like the sound. She made the theme song for Hilda, so I can't really complain.
Which is
like, great.
Yeah,
fair. Just don't Elon Musk, please.
But so he's kind of like that. He's kind of like Elon Musk. He has a suspiciously hot woman who follows him around.
Who's just his personal assistant, whatever.
Does she even get a fucking name?
She gets like 2 or 3 lines. I think he addresses her by name, but she doesn't talk super often.
She's one of the.
She says very.
She's one of Gallo's co-workers' sisters, right? She's a sister
no.
of one of.
No.
That's a different character.
So Ina's sister works for Cray. But I think she's one of the lead engineers or product developers, whatever it is, because his assistant, she's basically just there to heed his wishes, basically. So, but like it's like this, the entire like the last 30 minutes or so is just freaking nonstop. It's just as like intense as the first 30 minutes. Like this is why you need, if you can find it, get the dub, because holy shit, I had so much trouble keeping track of what was going on.
Well, again, by the time this comes out, it'll be available.
Seriously, like honestly, like if we haven't already indicated this to you enough, definitely check it out. Like even if maybe you're a little bit wishy-washy on some Studio Trigger stuff, like this, honestly, if you don't like Kill la Kill, you probably will like this.
Oh no,
it's almost like inverted,
it's
basically. Like,
a
little bit.
I don't know, Tracy or Robin. Did anybody find out how long this movie took to make?
Oh, yeah, so I looked this up. So it looks like they announced it in 2017, but they had previously been working on it for about 4 years, meaning that there would have been another, which is, I mean, honestly, when you see it, the amount of rendering time, I totally understand, because all of the effects that they had to do after the fact would have taken a while to.
Oh, my God.
It would have been minimum 2 years of just doing effects work and like post-production stuff and marketing and all that, which is totally understandable, because I think that this came out in I don't know if it was early 2019 in
mid. It was May 15th in Tokyo and then 24th to the general release for Japan.
And then in the United States we did not get it until early September, roughly.
Early mid-September,
which is it's standard. It usually takes between 4 to 6 months to get international distribution, so fine. But yeah, I mean, like just in general, like I don't know. I just love that they have so much scale with everything that they do. Like, it really is cool. Like, Studio Trigger has constantly pushed that kind of stuff, and that's why I really like a lot of their work. Like, Little Witch Academia in particular is a very, like, kind of fun thing between Robin and myself, just because, number one, it's just a fun show, and also just because they really like this is another signature thing that I have here, is that they managed to incorporate this kind of vague mix of both post-apocalyptic and fantasy, which I like, because you see this in this movie where they've got a kind of really cool city environment, but it's kind of post-apocalyptic because there's a very obvious class differential between the Burnish and the non-Burnish. So it's,
well,
happens, standard, I guess.
I mean, again, there's the background of, like, the world basically burned 30 years ago.
So you almost get kind of like a second impact thing from Evangelion from it, but like they're still here. The city is apparently thriving to an extent, but there's also this really awful underlaying system of abuse that's going on between the Burnish and the governor specifically, and all the people that are just like not doing anything about it. So, yeah.
So after the hand-to-hand fight, Cray captures Leo and turns him into the new main engine for his ship.
Which was previously they had captured like thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
Like,
so if not all of them. Yeah.
Right. Well, there was it's kind of weird. You see that there is like a core to the thing that all that power then goes into, and now he has put Gallo in that position, and it reactivates and does that again.
And it's determined at this point that Leo, I mean, he's also the leader of this, this intense group, so he's obviously very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so Cray had attacked Gallo with his Burnish powers, and Leo protected him, which kept him alive, which allowed him to not only beat Cray, but then after he got Leo out of the battery, he started to turn to ash and die, which is the ultimate fate for all
and
Burnish.
that's also the aftermath, especially of both the Freeze Force and just Cray's device in general, is that it basically exhausts any Burnish power that they have to the point that they turn to ash pretty much immediately. So,
and we saw earlier in right before Gallo and Leo started to become chummy, we become intimate.
Yeah, acquainted, if you will.
We saw. I think Gallo got captured, right? Like he went exploring, and this was
kind of. So he goes explore. He sees the Burnish escape ship, or I think it's a chopper, and then goes to find it, and then gets captured.
And this is. I mean, we're a little all over the place, but this is about mid movie or a little bit before.
This is earlier in the movie.
It's because they reference the same thing later in the film.
Right.
So
and so
right. So that's what we're talking about now.
And so
I'm gonna get some more wine. 1 sec.
You're the best. So Gallo is captured, and he's kind of tied up, and then so this is right after Leo sprung all of his people from this prison that Cray had.
Right.
Obviously kidnapped a bunch of these people, and so they've all escaped, and they're all in a cave. And Leo, there's this young person, this young Burnish who's dying, and Leo effectively shows how you can save them, and it's by passing, I believe, a bit of your essence, Burnish essence.
It's like
Promare,
it's a
Burnish
flame
energy.
that's passed, like essentially through mouth to mouth resuscitation, basically. Yeah.
So it's through essentially a kiss.
Yeah. Bless you. That was adorable.
Yeah.
It's because that was right into my shoulder.
Sometimes I like to imagine that you're like a little elephant and you just be like, oh no, this butterfly got too close to my nose. I gotta sneeze.
You have seen me sneeze. You know exactly.
I know,
what
but
like.
I want it to be that.
Do you want it to be a butterfly sneeze?
Okay.
I have some wish fulfillment things.
Butterfly sneezes.
Tickle-free bubble.
Sneeze.
I can blow twice as high.
Adorable sneezes.
Take a look. It's in the crook of my elbow.
God damn it. All right.
It's
so we see this mouth-to-mouth
grody.
resuscitation flame thing in the beginning of the movie, and then when Leo is dying, Gallo uses the flame that Leo had given to him and does the same thing to him, which restores
Which
Leo.
obviously immediately wet. Gotta be honest.
Wait, hold on.
Tracy went
pause.
from the Sahara Desert
Pause.
to
Yeah, wait.
Niagara
Pause for a
Falls.
second. Did you say wept?
No,
or
immediately. You
Wet.
know what I said, John. You know what
okay.
I said.
And I was like, because
Don't make me repeat myself. God damn it.
And I was like, what? Did she say that? I'm like, she could have
No.
said wept. I don't want to make
No.
a joke off of. And then I look like the creep.
John, I went from Mother Teresa to Sue Collini. Okay, there you go.
Just
Just
cranked.
There you go.
Did it start raining in here? Jesus.
Sue Collini always gets the Winnie. What is this?
Can't across the room. Why is it suddenly so humid here?
It went from a food desert to the Rainforest Cafe, baby. There you go.
Well,
I don't know how I
There's
feel about
frogs
that.
everywhere. Anyway.
Everywhere. And so then,
and they
Gallo
linger,
and Leo.
they linger on it for a while.
oh yeah,
It's not.
Oh, no, it's great.
So I have.
it is.
Some,
Well, so
No,
again,
they
like,
timed it so it was an obvious audience bit to go, woo, yeah, like people were gonna get into it.
no, it's
Because
It's
I
unambiguous,
talked to
so,
a friend
like,
of mine
it-
because they're just like the entire crowd freaked the fuck out when they saw them. Like, of course they did.
oh, I
yeah.
bet.
yeah, I have some
well,
thoughts. I have some thoughts about it, but you both know that before I watched this movie, I watched an internet person talk about whether like the queer representation in this movie or not. So I was really
Yes.
hoping for a little bit more overt sexuality or like expression, and I think it's highly insinuated throughout the movie, and there's some imagery that's really cool in this movie that would also suggest the characters are
Yeah.
queer. But I think there's also like real plausible deniability that this was a resuscitation kiss.
And
Yes. Well, and also like this is kind of the thing that bugged me throughout the movie is we see Ina being very close with Gallo throughout.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you that it more or less serves the purpose of being plausible.
yeah, but there's no overt statement of the not gays because we can't really tell whether or not Gallo is just being genuinely friendly or if he's interested in her. Because I read it as like basically she was thirsty for him, he wasn't really feeling it, but maybe that's just me projecting.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we also have to consider the fact that this is a Japanese production. Japanese culture, by and large, it tends to be a lot more conservative than a lot of Western cultures. So I think that they had to kind of keep that there so that depending on where the film was airing, it could be censored appropriately, I guess. Which is not great,
So
but
here's-
it leaves it open.
Well, so
to
here's
that,
one
so.
thing I think is worth considering. Again, we talked about how this movie just like it moves. Again, as we said like just a minute ago, that's
a
is
really good
like
point. Yeah.
easily the longest, slowest moment in
I
this
mean,
movie.
it's clearly meant to elicit some kind of woo, yeah, kind of thing. Like if you're going after that, you will get that kind of gratification.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
it's.
if you're
I think it's just ambiguous enough.
If you are a big Tim Allen fan, you might not like it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Why are you watching a gay-coded anime? Just saying. I don't know.
Get out
No
of here,
love for Tim Allen. What do you have against? He's
Get
pure.
out here, Tim Allen.
He's pure Michigan.
against Home
What do you have
Improvement?
against Tim Allen?
So he's pure Michigan. God damn it. So then the two of them they get back in the giant robot and they ignite all the Promare on the planet
yeah, this
to get them to burn.
Valley style.
I will say this. I actually really found the end of this movie to be really confusing.
Oh, fair.
Yeah,
totally
I wasn't.
fair. That's-
That lasts like what 10 minutes or so in which they're doing that.
Yeah.
We really had to. So Charles and I had to rewatch. I think about like the last 10 minutes of the movie and then look it up online because we were like, wait a minute, like
Surely we missed something.
yeah, what? Wait, I'm not. So everyone went green, and then everyone was on fire, but then the burnish left, and we're like, oh, okay, that is what happened. And of course, that was them protecting everybody so that they didn't die, which had been established earlier when they were fighting with Cray. I think Leo gave Gallo the protective green fire, which is why Gallo could walk through
exactly,
Cray's
which is also
attack.
how he was able to do the mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it was like, it was so much again and I really like what you just said, Robin, about like they slowed down that moment with the kiss because right after they just hit the ground running again. And so the ending to me, I was like, wait a minute, what the hell just happened? Like now nobody's dead and the burnish is gone. Like,
I will say this, just because, like, basically, you both know my mom and know that, like, I had a history of doing some volunteer stuff with her before. For the uninitiated, my mom has been involved with certain ecological things, and that involves working with prairies, which are, like, one of the big ecosystems in Illinois. Oh my god, yeah. So what it is that, like, basically, there is this practice that basically, if you burn prairies, meaning that you do controlled burns of certain areas within the prairie, it's there to regenerate and help to bring life, because basically, in a weird way, you're almost like treating the soil. So you want to encourage the new growth of certain plants and then discourage the weeds.
Yeah.
And this is like, I don't know if that's exactly what they were going for, but I got that impression because they were harnessing the negative energy of the Promare as opposed to the positive, which is what the blue or green flames, whatever it was, were the ones that ended up burning the rest of the world. But it didn't hurt people. It wasn't there to cause destruction.
Yeah, and I think I think you're right that it's something like that.
It seems like definitely some kind of weird regeneration metaphor, I'm guessing. So, yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. And I mean, Leo does say, like, what they're trying to do is get the Promare to burn out as opposed to, like, just burning, right?
Yeah.
Like, they want to bring it to a complete stop, basically. It's kind of weird. I agree with you, John, that it feels like at the end, like, they have this very long moment, and then they just speed it up. It's the joke in Big Fish. Time does stop, and then it hurries up to catch up.
I like that in this context, because I was like, I don't know. Cool. Everyone is all right. I guess.
I will say this.
They all went green Super Saiyan, and now everybody is okay. So.
No, everyone's fine.
I will say this, that there is some inconsistency, and this is not all studios, but I have noticed this with some anime films, because Robin, you and myself have watched, if you remember Whisper of the Heart.
Watched a fair number.
We've seen a fair amount of anime films. Like, sometimes they just straight up don't know how to end it, so they just pick a certain emotional beat, and then they just stop, which is fine. You know, I mean, it is what it is. They're not always going to be satisfying. I mean, not every ending is going to be Spirited Away. Like, sometimes you're going to get a Whisper of the Heart where he's just like, oh, Shizuku, I love you, hug, credits roll, whatever. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
fine.
Well, so I think it's that's realistically probably a result of a lot of things, right? I agree with you, the emotional, like, choosing to just pick an emotional beat to end on. I dig that because I think, we're way off on a different idea now, but John and I had talked about this previously, how,
well, they can't tie up everything, basically, with some films.
No, well, yes, that, but also, like, what was not The Rise of Skywalker, the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Has two ending moments, because there's a moment, the emotional high point of that movie is, like...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Midway through or something.
Yeah. And
so that makes and it, like, you can feel it rewatching that movie, is that at that moment... it would be a fine time to end, but it doesn't. It keeps going. So I think there is something to, like, ending on that emotional beat. It also may just be a result of, like, a difference in story and composition.
Well, yeah, because I think certain directors and producers are going to have beats that they want to reach, and I mean, like, I guess that, like, the overall, the resulting conflict was, like, basically they had to stop Cray, they had to intervene and have some kind of retribution for the Burnish. So the Burnish decided to use the positive energy that they had not been using. Like, okay, this is going to be a dumb metaphor, but if you know Sonic the Hedgehog, how they have the Chaos Emeralds and Stop.
Go on, Tracy. You have the floor, Tracy.
I know this is stupid and a very weeb thing to say, but, like, basically, there in Sonic Adventure, the video game for the Dreamcast, there is the power that's used from the Chaos Emeralds that's used for a monster at the end of it. Chaos used the negative energy. Sonic used the positive energy. I'm gonna get fucking crucified for this. Use the positive energy to be supersonic and to defeat the monster. Okay, all right.
No,
I'm guessing it's the
okay.
same.
That's fine. I mean,
I'm going to go into.
You just sound so ashamed saying it that I couldn't help but laugh.
I'm going to go into the bathtub and slit my wrist.
Oh Jesus! Yeah.
Oh dear.
For the record, like,
it's gonna be the scene from fuck. Is it Perfect Blue?
From External World, or no, Perfect Blue. She didn't cut her.
The one where she's screaming into the
shower.
Yeah.
That's it. That is Perfect Blue, and which Darren Aronofsky later used in Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, fuck
you weeb.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's a good movie, but
also
fuck
I don't
you
like
for...
Kim Perry because he bought the rights just to have that shot. I'm like, maybe have better.
Yeah, just
maybe
so
have
steal
better
that
ideas,
shot.
you fucking hack. Anyway.
God, what a weeb.
So what
I'm
I
not here to drag Darren Aronofsky. He's been dragged enough.
I
No,
might be.
Mother happened. People know what he's capable of. It's fine.
I don't know what you people are talking about.
He's a shitty director that's well known for stealing. He basically this will be cut out hopefully.
He's hailed as like a visionary director.
John,
but
have
so
you ever
much
seen
of
Black
his...
Swan, Pie, or Requiem for a Dream?
I'm pretty sure I've seen Pie. I certainly have seen Requiem for a Dream. I have not seen Black Swan.
Okay, all you
Swan's
need to
pretty
know
good, but
is
they're
that
all-
like he's this allegedly dark director, which basically means that he bought the rights to a certain deceased Japanese animator named Satoshi Kon to use certain like pretty much direct mirrors to scenes from his films to insert into his own films because he sucks. And because he's not clever, and he just bought the rights to it, so he just
Wouldn't it be
like,
great?
"Hey, this
Wouldn't it be
shot's
great?
awesome. I'm gonna have Natalie Portman do it. Fuck you."
Wouldn't it be great if he had that sort of like self like awareness where he's like, well, I suck, so I'm gonna buy this guy's.
Hey guys,
is,
my
like,
movies are basically AMVs with real people. Fuck you.
Yeah,
So
I'm a garbage person, so I'm just gonna buy that guy's stuff. Like it's almost cartoonish, but it's very honest.
yeah,
it's
that's
like
very
a
funny.
white. It's
I
like a
don't
white
think
man's
he's that
burden
person.
thing, but done with anime, which is like shitty. Like I hate that. Like
That's
it's
awful.
It's
I'm not
awful.
creative. I'm
That's
not creative, but I
how
do have
it
a lot of
feels.
money.
Yeah, but I really like.
But I do
I
have
like anime
money.
and I have money. I'm just gonna use these shots in my films and pretend that I storyboarded them. Fuck you. I'm Darren Aronofsky. I have 2 houses
right.
in Vale. Fuck you.
Wow, fuck him.
I'm sorry.
we have
Please
any
cut
other-
that
we seem to be
entire part
getting-
out.
No, that's gotta be
fine.
left in.
Be the stinger.
This is where
that dude's absolutely a listener.
This is where we are sued for defamation of character by Darren Aronofsky.
hey, any attention, any media is good media, right? So I mean,
Yeah,
there you
it's
go.
all good.
Hey, you know,
good press.
it's
Good press.
And how about your crooked wang, Leonard?
What about a perfect wang? Anyway,
Any press is good
Any
press.
press is good press. Come on.
you had me
so
at
I think
perfect
we're-
wang.
That is not the word I said.
It's what we wanted you to say.
Don't lie to me, boy.
We all wish I'd said that.
I'm most
Anywho,
of
I think
a bottle into Crush by Dave Matthews Band. So
I can't believe that Dave Matthews. I can believe that Dave Matthews Band has its own line.
I come into
God, I was-
you.
Yeah.
Like,
In a
so hard.
forest stream.
So I think we've gotten sufficiently
So
off.
yeah, we can
trail
reel
here
it
that
back in. We can save
we
it.
can
We
wrap
can
this
save
Tracy's
it.
up.
drunk. Let's finish this.
Yes. So, any final thoughts on Promare?
Honestly, just the instant that you can check this out, please do. I would just say in general, watch it twice because you want to be able to appreciate all the style of it, the scale of everything, and the direction in terms of choreography for fighting. And because, like, okay, honestly, highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's just a very beautiful, very interesting movie. So, and you will never be bored.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a good movie. It's very anime. So I think yeah, if
you got some tropes light up
Oh,
there.
I mean,
yeah,
well,
so
yeah.
if you don't like over the top characters and some big hair, not your movie.
Oh, if you-
I do wish this movie was even though I think that the like there's a lot of potential like queer readings in this movie. I wish it was a little bit gayer. I wish it was a little bit more overt.
I also wish
That's
it was
not.
a bit
I don't know
gayer.
that that's necessarily a criticism of the movie itself. It's more of maybe like the cultural reasons why it's not gayer. But altogether, I think it's Tracy. I really like when you said watch it twice. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again to get I think more subtleties. And then just to be like, okay, like the first movie, it was a clusterfuck. I know it's gonna be a clusterfuck, so I'm just gonna watch it again and kind of try to absorb things that I I didn't get, and I know what's happening this time. So maybe if I do watch it subbed, that I don't have to pay as much attention to the English translation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and there's a lot to read into this in general. Like, I would say that the overall message is just, it really is one of acceptance anyway. Whether or not you want to read that with kind of like a queer or like gay-coded subtext is up to you. But I think that in general, the amount of understanding that they have, like, Gallo, as doofy as he is still a very kind-hearted person. And he ultimately wants to do the right thing, which I think is a really good message, too. And because he's not above lionizing his idols like that, and then recognizing like, oh, hey, this guy's actually a toxic piece of shit. Probably should stop idolizing him. So,
and I think Robin, I think you tweeted something, which is originally how I found out about this movie. Is you tweeted something, and then somebody in that tweet, either the original poster or somebody else, called Gallo an idiot sexual, and I was like, yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Oh no, they call. That's it's the morosexual joke about Leo, is that he's in love with an idiot because Gallo is an idiot. But then Leo
can always feel like the smart one in the relationship,
which I do love.
So I don't see the issue really. Yeah,
it's just like Gallo's just oblivious.
I mean,
like he's just like shoot by the hip, kind of oblivious.
Can't he just be sexy and kind of dumb?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I think it's Well, he's a himbo, and the thing about himbo, which we all forget, is that it's actually an acronym. The first letter of which is heart.
That's fine. I mean, like, if we've seen other characters, much like Lunchpad McQuack, they're obviously good heart, bit dumb, well-meaning, tries to do the right thing most of the time. Can't really fault him for that. You know, he doesn't fuck shit up as much as you would expect him to. So
and at the end of the day, when Gallo was presented with Crazy evilness and or evil nature, and then Leo's not evil nature, he was like, oh, okay, I've gotten my thing switched here. Cray's evil, Leo's not evil. Cool.
Like there's no blind faith kind of obedience that he observes going towards Cray. He's like, oh no, you're an obvious ball bag. I need to stop hanging out with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
At
first he absolutely is. He's totally like idolizes Cray, but when Cray's like, no, I'm a piece of shit, Gallo's like, yeah, you are a piece of shit. That's right.
Yeah, it's like honestly, once you get to the impact,
you are cool. Not interested.
Once you get to the point where there's any kind of threat of basically human trafficking or human experimentation, maybe a good time to cut your losses and move on from that person, which is good. So Gallo passed that test, which is solid. Yeah. I mean, cannot fault him for that.
That low bar test.
There you go.
Being like, oh, you're torturing people. I'm not into it.
You passed the high school decathlon. Thank you so much. Here's your badge and gun. Thank you.
Woo!
Robin, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, my thoughts. I love this movie. I think I would agree with both of you. Watch it once and then go back and watch it again because it's just so good, and there's probably something you will get out of it a second time that you didn't notice the first time. Again, I just love it overall, and I'm like, I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of some of the Burning Rescue team, and I, again, don't like the poster because it puts Leo on a very large box.
This
to
used to have
Gallo,
peaches in it.
And it should be the other way around, because that's better.
Where did you even get that box?
I
used
found
to be full of watermelon.
I think that just in general, there's so much stuff going on that it's very tough to keep track of, which is both, it's a credit to the film in terms of how well laid out the story is, but also it's kind of a pain in the ass because it's like, I don't necessarily want to have to watch a movie twice to really get what it's trying to do, but I don't mind it because it's so pretty that I'll get past it.
Yeah. I'm curious how
I think it's good.
Because I'm slightly worried.
Yeah.
Only for this reason, because Johnny Young Bosch is the voice of Leo.
Dude, Johnny Young Bosch can get it. I'm sorry. Like, it's fine. He's Johnny Young Bosch. He can do whatever he wants, basically. As far as I'm concerned, like, the man he's basically Rumpelstiltskin. He can turn anything into gold. So,
who is that?
And he'll also steal your name, or whatever the fuck Rumpelstiltskin does.
Stole the baby.
Johnny Young Bosch is a very well-known American voice actor. He's done so many anime films.
Yeah.
Not just anime films. Johnny Young Bosch has done so many anime series and films, and like he's been all over the place. He's one of the most prolific anime voice actors ever.
So I think that about does it for us. John, Is there anything you would like to plug?
Anything you're working on right now, or stuff that you'd like us to support, or I mean, honestly, if you've got like any particular thing that you want to just endorse in general, maybe Hot Pockets. I don't know.
You said Hot Pockets?
Yeah, maybe Hot Pockets. I don't know. They're not endorsing the show, but
maybe you really want people to support Hot Pockets.
Ostensibly it would be like some kind of thing that you're involved with or whatever.
I'm not involved in anything. I live in.
John is a total free agent.
Yeah.
John cannot be
Again,
cannot be tamed.
I can't tell you guys what I'm doing. It's a
mountain
secret.
goat. Or
John
freelance.
has
damn
the
it.
ultimate security
Freelance
clearance. Yeah.
I
John
don't
is
know,
John is a freelance Mountain Goats fan.
Be safe. I don't do a lot of like online. Not a huge online presence, but what weird times we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
Actually, would you like to plug your Twitter or Instagram?
Oh sure. Anybody can find and talk to me on Twitter at JTAW3 or JDubs. You should. I don't remember which gay dating simulator my profile picture is.
Dream Daddy.
Oh, it's from Dream Daddy.
Oh, Dream. Yeah. Oh, of course it is. Yeah. My fun fact: my cousin made me play that with him, and it was a good time.
Yeah,
I
sure.
Did not,
He
I did
made
not
you
get
play
married.
it,
I was
John.
very upset that I.
John's
That
very
Dream
bad
Daddy
at
did-
simulating
my
being
Dream Daddy
gay,
did
the
not.
thing he actually is.
John, real talk.
That's the story of my goddamn life. Yeah.
John, real talk. Who were you trying to marry in that game?
Who was it? Sporty guy? Sporty. He had a bunch of-
Craig, the guy with the kid.
Yeah,
yeah.
I really do feel sour about this because we hooked up in the game, and then he's like, hard pass.
I will hit it, and now I will
Fuck
quit
you,
it.
Craig.
You're like, fuck off, you.
You're just like, John, you're so clingy. I don't want to be in this right now.
Yeah, and we went fucking camping, which I would have never
I
done.
went camping for you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I would have gone for Craig, if that is your real name. I would have gone for Hugo or the guy that managed the cafe because like they are both very much my kind of down to earth kind of aesthetic thing. And also I just like I like glasses and a blazer on a man, you know?
I was impressed with
that's
Dream
fine.
Daddy. They did let me pick a gap.
Nice.
That was amazing. I loved
was
your
very happy with
avatar.
that, yeah.
And then you put like the weird kissy lips on it, which I'm just like, honestly, I'm fine with it. It's on brand for you.
It is. What is my Twitter? So it's at JTAW3, which is my initials.
Yeah, that's your handle. Yeah.
So yeah, just find me there, tweet me, or tell me I have a terrible voice. I don't, whatever.
Wait, do you want to plug your Instagram too, or no?
I do not have an Instagram.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm better than everybody.
We already knew that. All right.
It's assumed. God damn it.
All right, Robin, how about you? Where can they find you?
Yes. As always, you can find me on Twitter at lobster_writer. You can find me on Instagram at lobsterwriter_no_. And yeah, where do they find you, Tracy?
Oh my god, thank you. They can. I've been watching so much Key and Peele recently. They can find me on Instagram and Twitter via @TCTroush. You can find our show website via notjoannaeggs.tumblr.com. Obviously, it hasn't been updated in a while. We've got other things to worry about, like pandemic shit. But also
everything is on fire.
Everything sucks right now. I want to punch the TV. But I don't because I love that because it's my Animal Crossing box.
Because I love TV.
No,
I don't want to hurt TV.
I don't want to hurt TV. I could never hurt TV.
It's getting me through the self-quarantine.
It was the booze talking. TV shouldn't have upset me.
Huh.
Well, it did show you news. So the news is
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah,
that is a horrible
totally
thing to
fair.
see.
But no, in general, otherwise, just I don't know. I put stuff up periodically up on Instagram, so you can check that out too. Yeah, I mean, like I guess that's it. just honestly, for the love of God, guys, please stay safe. Just seriously, I know that everything sucks right now. Please take the quarantine seriously. Just wash your goddamn hands. Don't go anywhere if you don't need to. Like, it really is up to us. And frankly, I don't want to be in the fucking house until June, honestly. So yeah,
God, fuck.
Yeah, no,
Same.
because you really have to think about it and just be like, if they're extending it through May, I'm like, I can't do this another 2 months.
I've
Please.
literally twice in the past week had dreams about being at bars. I don't even go to bars.
I know, but we could go to bars theoretically.
But
in dreams.
I literally have dreamt twice about it being in bars, and I'm like, I don't even do this. This isn't even part of my life.
I haven't even
Why?
I've been having.
Oh, because I can't.
I've been having dreams about like just wanting to go to like a certain store and not being able to return something because the receipt is slightly older than usual. I just feel like, well, shit, I can't even get store credit now. What the fuck? And then I wake up because that's the ultimate nightmare. There's no store credit.
The ultimate nightmare, not being able to even get store credit.
The ultimate nightmare has become a Karen simulator, basically. Like,
Oh,
the
God,
other manager let
that
me
does sound
return
pretty
this,
terrible.
blah, blah, blah. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for bearing with us and listening to us talk at you.
Yep.
We will talk at you again soon. Thank you so much for listening.
And thank you, John, for coming on because
thank you for joining us on this.
It's been a blast. So thank you so much.
It's been a blast.
It's been great.
It's been lit.
It has been lit.
We didn't. That was a Promare joke. We didn't make any on fire puns.
I'm also shocked at the lack of puns here.
Yeah.
Well, can't win them all.
I don't know. I mean, like Phoenix, Arizona. I don't know. Like something.
All right.
I don't know.
Thank you for listening.
I'm not even trying. I don't care anymore.
We'll talk at you next
Phoenix,
time.
Arizona is just it's a joke in of
It
itself.
is a testament to man's
it is.
arrogance.
Thank you. There it is. All right.
I love
Thank
you,
you so
Robin.
much.
I love you, John.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of Not Joanna Eggs. Our intro music is Don't Hold My Breath by Ben Briggs, and the outro is Wet Dreams by Phonetic Hero. Both were found on ocremix.org. If you enjoyed this podcast, please remember to like and subscribe on whatever platform you use. Not Joanna Eggs, because animation is for everyone. Thanks.